Somewhere between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico lies a roughly 500,000 square mile region of the North Atlantic Ocean. It is one of the most heavily traveled maritime corridors on Earth, funneling thousands of cargo ships and flights between the Americas and Europe. For most of history, sailors and pilots crossed this water without a second thought. That changed on December 5, 1945. A routine U.S. Navy trading mission, designated as Flight 19, took off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The conditions were perfect. 5 aircraft, 14 men. They never returned. Over the radio, the lead pilot's transmissions grew increasingly erratic. He reported that his compasses were malfunctioning. He noted that the visual horizon was distorted and that the ocean looked entirely wrong. And then, dead silence. A massive flying boat was immediately deployed to find them. It also disappeared without sending a signal. By the end of the day, 27 men and 6 aircraft were gone. Not a single distress call was completed. Not a single piece of wreckage was ever recovered from the water. That absolute absence of physical evidence created a factual vacuum, and in that vacuum, the legend of the Bermuda Triangle was born. Over the next few decades, the disappearances kept piling up. Large commercial vessels and small private planes vanished. Even the USS Cyclops, a 542-foot Navy cargo ship carrying 309 people, disappeared in 1918 without a trace. Soon, wild cultural explanations poured in to fill the silence. People theorized about extraterrestrial craft pulling planes beneath the surface, or dimensional portals acting as a giant ocean drain. Some even proposed that ancient active crystal energy grids from the lost city of Atlantis were disrupting modern navigation. By the 1970s, these unproven ideas had spawned a highly profitable media industry. They sold millions of books, filled television documentaries, and made the region one of the most discussed maritime mysteries in human history. The archival records suggest we have been asking the wrong questions. While the public debated supernatural causes, the actual history of these disasters was being systematically rewritten, manufacturing a mystery that the data never supported. In 1975, a researcher named Lawrence David Cush decided to actually check the original insurance records and Coast Guard reports for every single disappearance attributed to the region. He found that original accounts were grossly exaggerated. Many ships sank in documented massive storms, and several cases never actually happened in the Triangle at all. This animated map shows the findings of a comprehensive study by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. When you compare the Bermuda Triangle to other incredibly busy stretches of ocean, like the North Sea or the waters around Japan, the proportional rate of lost vessels is identical. Lloyd's of London, the world's most experienced maritime insurer, relies on centuries of hard risk data to set their prices. They charge standard rates for ships traveling through the Bermuda Triangle. If there were elevated risks of ships disappearing into a supernatural void, the financial markets would price that in. They don't. The official stance of the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Coast Guard perfectly aligns with the global financial data. There is zero statistical basis for a supernatural zone. While the statistics are completely normal, the physical environment is incredibly hostile. The Bermuda Triangle sits exactly where violent northern and southern storm systems regularly converge over a highly trafficked maritime corridor. This extreme weather produces a unique and terrifying hazard known as rogue waves. Only officially validated by science in the 1990s, these are incredibly steep, unpredictable walls of water that appear without any warning. They can reach heights of up to 100 feet. If one strikes a surface vessel, it can snap a large cargo ship in seconds. There is absolutely no time for a crew to send a distress call, and the violent churning destroys any wreckage large enough to track. This convergence of extreme, unpredictable weather perfectly accounts for why large surface vessels can vanish so quickly and completely, leaving only silence in their wake. This diagram shows a cross-section of the ocean floor beneath a triangle, where enormous deposits of methane gas are trapped in crystalline structures called methane hydrates. This complex geochemistry introduces another measurable hazard. If those crystalline structures destabilize, they release massive gas bubbles that rush rapidly to the surface. This eruption dramatically reduces the density of the surrounding water. A ship sitting on that specific patch of ocean suddenly loses its buoyancy and plummets instantly to the bottom. And the threat doesn't stop at the waterline. When this rising column of methane breaks the surface, it vents rapidly into the atmosphere. If an aircraft flies directly through it, the highly concentrated gas can simultaneously choke the engines and severely scramble the cockpit instruments. A sudden loss of instrumentation, a distorted horizon, engines failing. This precise geochemical chain reaction exactly matches the bizarre symptoms reported by pilots of Flight 19 just moments before their signal was lost. This cross-section illustrates new geological research published in 2025. Scientists discovered that the island of Bermuda sits on a highly buoyant base layer of rock, pushing upward from the mantle in a way observed nowhere else on Earth. We are actively monitoring how this structure interacts with the ocean above it. Using modern satellite imaging, researchers can now track extreme anomalies, like rogue waves, in real time as they develop. The region is undeniably geologically unique, with forces at play that science is only beginning to fully decode. But these anomalies are rooted entirely in the measurable physical realities of Earth science, not alternative dimensions. So, with decades of hard statistical data and rigorous oceanography explaining the disappearances, why does the legend of the Bermuda Triangle refuse to die in the public consciousness? The answer is deeply psychological. We deliberately invent supernatural myths because an organized, intentional mystery feels safer. We would rather believe in alien abductions or Atlantean crystals than accept the chaotic reality of sudden random tragedy. The ultimate truth is actually more frightening than the myth. The facts show us that we are entirely at the mercy of the sheer, indifferent physical power of our own planet. The Bermuda Triangle represents the Atlantic in its most raw state. It is an expanse governed by the indifferent laws of physics, a deep, vast wilderness capable of erasing everything we build.